As she neared Jessica, she threw her first fiery punch, which sailed over Jessica's ducking head. "Gonna have to be quicker than that, honey," Jessica shouted with a giggle as she ran in the other direction of Arson. "At least I'm not running away from the fight," Arson called after her as she hurled several fireballs at her foe, all exploding on the heels of Jessica's retreat. "Not running," Jessica said as she neared the light post where Arson had been perched and leaped at it. Her hands charged with energy, and her feet encased in stone as she traveled through the air, causing the pole to rip from the concrete as she grabbed it as she passed by. "Just getting a weapon," she finished as she swung the post at Arson, connecting with the young hero and sending her slamming into a wall across the street. Arson stayed on the ground for several moments before slowly getting to her feet, still reeling from the blow. She didn't have time to react when Jessica hit her with an energy-charged uppercut square in the jaw, smashing her back into the wall and keeping her on the ground. "That was fun," Jessica said as she sat down next to the unconscious girl. "Oh," Arson mumbled as she slowly sat up, her mind in a fog. "Sorry I had to beat you so bad. But I thought you could do with a good beating," Jessica said with a smile. Arson massaged her temples as the fog cleared from her head. "I'm gonna want a rematch, you know," she said with a glare that was soon replaced by a smirk. "Anytime, anyplace," Jessica said as she got to her feet and helped Arson to hers. "Good," Arson said as she sucker-punched Jessica with a flaming fist and sent the diapered hero flying backward into a parked car, smashing the windshield and denting the hood considerably. "You dirty little cheater," Jessica said as she massaged her jaw as she got off the car. Arson flew at Jessica and grabbed her and flew high into the air with her in tow. "Happy landings," she said as she dropped her opponent. Jessica screamed as she plummeted to the ground and watched as Arson flew to her quickly. When Arson got into range, Jessica gave her a hard kick to the stomach with a stony foot and took flight for herself, letting Arson take her place in a small crater in the concrete. Jessica stayed aloft for a moment before landing a few yards from the crater Arson had created. "You never said you could fly," Arson mumbled as she shakily climbed out of the earth. "Never said I couldn't," Jessica replied. "Now, be a good girl and have enough sense to admit defeat before you get seriously hurt," she added. Arson nodded. "Computer, end simulation," she said. The city scene disappeared and was again returned to the stark emptiness of the training room. "Man, getting beat by you is just humiliating," Arson said after a long silence. Jessica stuck her tongue out at Arson. "You know, you're like the little sister I never wanted," she said as she put her arm around Arson to support the wobbling girl. "I'm the little sister, and you're the one in diapers, that makes sense," she said with a smile. The two left the training room laughing together, their friendship blossoming with every word, even the insults. The room had the sweet scent of baby powder looming throughout it. The silence of the room was disturbed by the ripping of tape from plastic and the giggling of a woman. "My goodness, what a wet baby girl I have," Hannah said as she tickled her charge's tummy, getting another giggle. A knock at the door ceased the noise and movement in the room. "Hannah, are you in there? I wanted to talk to you," Jessica said from outside the door. Hannah looked at Elisa, who was shaking her head vigorously in protest of her saying anything. Hannah smiled at her sister. "I think we should tell her," she whispered. Elisa sucked her pacifier nervously and shook her head in protest again.